Welcome to the show! College football is back, baby. We have spent the entire offseason talking about courts, contracts, NIL, transfer rules, Congress, and who's suing who. Enough after today, because I want football. We got NFL players trying to come back to college. LSU may have discovered a transfer loophole inside the SEC that the Big Ten has now shut down. Tennessee and Alabama are handing their keys to their programs to freshman quarterbacks. And we saw a coach get fired after kicking the ball directly into a kid's junk. And we got Brooks Austin on the show today. College football is back. Like, share, subscribe, get notifications, and tell everybody about college football's best show. Let's get to it. The best thing that I saw today, the week 0 schedule, baby. That's it. Football. Actual football, not a lawsuit, not a transfer hearing, not a congressional committee, a schedule with kickoff times less than a week away. Woo! Didn't that feel good, boy? Oh my God. And later on in the show, we have the week 0 storylines, and we're breaking down 2 games that you must watch this weekend. We got Virginia and NC State. And we got North Carolina, who's playing against TCU as well. 2 week 0 matchups that have a huge impact. Plus, we got Brooks Austin on the show. But right now, just seeing actual games on the calendar feels like somebody finally opened up the door after we were trapped inside all summer, people. The first thing, though, college football has never been more fun. Like, before we argue about overrated teams, who wins the SEC, who wins the Big Ten, and which coach gets fired first, I want to start the season with something positive before we get into what's going on with the Big Ten and the SEC and Lane Kiffin and everybody else. Like, we got to start the season off on something positive, because college football has never been more fun than it is right now. It's not more organized, definitely not more normal, but more fun. Absolutely, 100%. The game is clearly growing, and we love what's being put on the actual field. Like, think about what we've seen. Duke and Virginia played for the ACC championship last year. 4 different Big 12 participants in 2 years. James Madison made the playoffs. Tulane in the playoffs. Ole Miss having one of the greatest seasons in school history. Vanderbilt won 10 games. Vanderbilt, people. And Indiana went from being the program that everybody used as the punchline, the losingest college football program of all time, to winning a national championship in 2 years. Like, that sentence would have got you drug tested 5 years ago. And the Pac-12, everybody declared it was dead. Apparently, nobody told the Pac-12, because Teresa Gold got that thing back up. College football right now is drunk, and I love it. And the real reason is that this era is better. That's just the truth. Because the thing that makes the sport work is not perfection, it's hope. And college football runs on hope. Because for years, too many fan bases entered August knowing what their truth was. Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, maybe Oklahoma, maybe one surprise team. Everybody else, enjoy your bowl game. Let's fight for a New Year's Six bowl game. Now, there's probably 20 fan bases that can talk about themselves as a real threat to win a national championship. Ooh, if the quarterback hits. If the portal guys work. Like, if we upset such and so in October, if the offensive line stays healthy, we might actually have something. And that matters. But it can all fall apart more easily than it ever could. Because the truth about this whole thing is, once a fan base believes, September matters more. October matters more. Recruiting matters more. The portal matters more. Your stadium gets louder. Your boosters get more interested. And hope creates investment, and not just with money. It creates an emotional investment. And that's why the party is good, because everybody don't need a trophy. Everybody needs a believable path to chase one. And that's the sweet spot that college football is in right now. All right. We got like a couple things that are important for this college football season. We got a heavyweight title fight going on to start the season. We got the Big Ten versus the SEC. And we got multiple games that are going to give us some good data points surrounding it. And nowhere has this been more fun with the Big Ten versus the SEC argument all this offseason. You got people on TV giving you different things. You got the truth coming here. And this has become Ali Frazier, Lakers Celtics, Yankees were Red Sox. Every result becomes evidence. SEC team loses. See, I told you they was overrated. Big Ten team loses. See, it's only 3 good teams in the conference and nothing else anyway. But the argument has now changed because for years, the SEC, they could simply say, we have the best teams. Then Michigan won a national championship. Then Ohio State. Then Indiana. 3 straight Big Ten national championships. And now the SEC, the argument is moved. Okay, well, maybe your best teams are very good. But look at our depth. And you know what? It's honestly a fair argument. And the SEC didn't suddenly forget how to play football. And when we look at the SEC first and then the Big Ten second in both 24 and 25, I mean, are we sure about that? The SEC is deep, though. But here's the question that I want answered this season. Does the SEC still own the middle of college football? I'm not so sure because I think that this is the best Big Ten that we have ever been able to put together in college football, period. And then the SEC is dangerous as well, is particularly in the middle and at the top. But the postseason numbers have honestly changed this argument. Look at the postseason in 2024. The Big Ten teams were 11-6 in bowl games and playoff games. SEC went 8-7. And last season, the Big Ten was 11-5, and the SEC was 4-10. And they weren't winning playoff games the last 2 years against anybody but themselves. And before SEC fans sit up here, hey, George, you know bowls don't matter. Like, we're not worried about those. All right, cool. Then stop using bowls as proof of conference strength when you win them. Like, we can't keep changing the rules of the argument based on who won. And this was not only Ohio State and Oregon. Illinois is the example I keep coming back to because Illinois was not some national glamour program in 2024, but they went 4-2 against ranked teams. They beat ranked Kansas. They beat Nebraska, Michigan, and then they played number 15 South Carolina in the Citrus Bowl. Beat them too. Like, that's middle of the conference depth. And that's the team that everybody was arguing, oh, man, they should have been they're the best team left out of the playoff. So my answer is not the SEC is weak because that would be dumb. That would be a lie. My argument is that the SEC is no longer has the exclusive ownership of depth. That is the big difference. And now I believe the pressure is on the SEC because this season, the pressure shifts. Can the SEC take the belt back? Because if the Big Ten produces another national champion or gets multiple teams deep into the college football playoff again, at some point we got to stop saying that this is temporary. At some point, the changing of the guard becomes the guard. And then that creates one of my favorite things about 2026. Finally, the SEC has something to prove. The Big Ten has something to defend. And that's great for us. And this is all while the ACC and the Big 12 are trying to come up and steal one and be like, yo, don't forget about us. And this leads me to another thing that I want everybody to think about this season. It is harder to change a reputation than it is to earn one because we see Alabama and think, national championship contender, LSU contender, Michigan contender, Florida, big time program, Washington. Are we sure about them? Come on now. But the math says that all of those teams cannot be championship contenders every year. There are too many good programs now. And I believe that our brains are still catching up as overall fans, and why I'm here to share that with you. Because we get a team like Indiana, they can win the national title, and then some people enter the next year acting like, yeah, but I mean, really, Indiana? You're like, yes, they just showed you, fool. Like, reputation is sticky. Like, old success, it stays in our brains much longer than it really should. And new success takes longer to feel real than it actually should. So the question is, why is this even healthy? But the reason why is And the thing that is exactly why is that this era is good. Washington fans know that they can make a national championship game. Indiana knows they can win the whole thing. Ole Miss fans know, Arizona State fans know, SMU, Texas Tech, and maybe those programs don't win every year. They don't need to. The point is that their fans now have the evidence that the ceiling is real and the evidence that creates hope. And that's the word again, hope. Hope is the fuel. Other thing, we need a reason to save us from the offseason. Like, we need these games to save us from the offseason. And thank God for the games. Because this offseason, it has been exhausting. Court cases, transfer rules, eligibility fights, NIL lawsuits, Congress, revenue sharing, players suing conferences, conferences suing people, people suing the NCAA. The NCAA basically looking around and saying, yo, is there anybody who hasn't sued us? Hey, can you help us over there? I mean, like, some of that's important, and I've talked about it, and I will keep talking about it. But eventually, we need football to be about football. And I want to know that if Dante Moore can win a national championship, if Alabama can run the football and be Alabama again, I want to see Indiana be the hunted instead of the hunter and the sneaky team. I want to see 8 different Big 12 fan bases actually convince themselves that they are winning the league. I want some of these freshmen. I want some of these freshman quarterbacks walking into 100,000 screaming people and finding out if his knees even work. Like, I want bad coaching. I want great coaching. I want goalposts coming down. I want all of it. Rivalries, upsets. I need this injected into my veins right now. We got backup quarterbacks, being a hero for 3 weeks. That is the chaos that I want. And of course, right when I say, can we please get back to football? College football gives us the most broken story of the entire offseason. Because now NFL players have been allowed to come back to college football. And there's actually 3 layers to this story. First, Dan Lanning is right. College football players have no business, NFL players have no business in college football. They don't. They went to the NFL. But also, the second thing is Lane Kiffin is right that these players got screwed over by the NCAA by the timing of the rule going in, and this is completely unfair to them. Both things are true. And the third thing is that there may be an SEC loophole so ridiculous that Greg Sankey has to decide whether his league's own rules actually mean anything. That's the part. And we're going to use a kid, Daquan Wright, as an example, because Daquan Wright played at Ole Miss. He declared for the NFL draft. He went undrafted, spent some time in Philadelphia, got claimed by Cleveland. He was on an NFL roster. Granted, he has not played in a regular season NFL game. And Wright plans to play for LSU. Not just in rookie minicamp, not just a tryout, NFL roster, then back to college. So former Ole Miss defensive lineman, also Xavier Harris, he was also with the Saints and is planning to go to LSU. Like, we are official, college, NFL, college again. Like, do I think that this is ridiculous? Yes. Do I think that LSU should take them? Absolutely yes. Do I think that those positions are not inconsistent? Yes, Dan Lanning is right. He basically said, once you go to the NFL, you're in the NFL. I understand that because rosters are already built. Players have been there since January, winter conditioning, spring ball, summer camp, all of it. Like, imagine you're an LSU tight end. You put in 8 months. You didn't transfer or you transferred in. You're finally getting reps. And then 3 days before kickoff, a dude walks in the room saying, hey, what's up? Hey, yo, Cleveland cut me yesterday. And now he's in front of you on the depth chart. Does that feel fair? How about the high school kids? And the Big Ten, they have now weighed in on this whole situation as well, because we've talked about the court cases and everything else. So now the Big Ten has weighed in. The Big Ten has said, you cannot bring a player on your roster if he has already been in the NFL. You cannot. We are not taking him. And that's like, ooh, that's a very strong statement. They are threatening fines, what do you call it, vacating games, any of that. So the only team that's significantly impacted by this is Indiana, because they got Wyatt and Daly back, who were two very good football players. And now they are now ineligible based upon the Big Ten rules. And we have seen, going back to the Patriot League, where we talked about they wouldn't let the kid from Villanova play. And now the SEC, they put out a statement yesterday basically saying, hey, we don't like this. We don't think that this is right. But it also didn't say you're going to do nothing about it. So that's the thing. So the Big Ten has stood up and said, no, we're going to see what the SEC does, because they're having meetings about it. And then we get a quote from Lane Kiffin today. He never lets us down. So he's obviously, Lane Kiffin is a big proponent because he wants these players. He's already got a $50 million roster and he still wants more. He said that conferences can't pick and choose what court orders that they want to follow after discussions of banning NFL players. He said, quote, doesn't work like that. You can't decide, hey, I like that injunction. I don't like that one. That play I kind of like, and I like the way that they got him eligible. So we're going to follow those rules, not these. And on one hand, he's right. And this is why collective bargaining matters. You got conferences who are now exercising power, because this is essentially what the Big 12 did to get Brandon Sorsby up out of there. The NCAA has no power, but now the conferences are flexing power in college eligibility issues. Because I love having a line, but at some point, college has to, stop being college. And you can't be Van Wilder and stay forever. But now the truth is, if you put on Lane Kiffin's headset, and if Wright is ruled eligible, what exactly is Lane Kiffin supposed to do? Now, I agree with our boy. I saw a clip from our guy Brooks Austin, who's on the show today. He said, just because you should do something doesn't mean just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. Yes, you could say, no thanks. We would rather, if Alabama want to take him, go ahead. That's not what we doing. And this is where I applaud guys like Dabo Swinney and Dan Lanning for taking this stance. You have to be principled at some point in time. Just because other people are out doing something doesn't mean that you got to do it. Just because it's allowed does not mean that that is proper thing to be doing. We got to be real about this. And then you had Ryan Day basically make the same point. Like, I got to do what's best for Ohio State. If the right player comes along, then we do what we got to do. Like, coaches are going to be coaches. This is exactly why collective bargaining is necessary, and you can't just give power to the people that they get to make all the rules unilaterally, because they will do the wrong thing. This is why they didn't pay players for a long time. They had to be forced. They're not going to do the right thing with eligibility, with transfers, none of it. They are going to act in their own best interest, because that's who's paying them, and they want to keep getting tens of millions of dollars in checks. Like, it's just the truth. And this 2022 class, they do matter. Like the NCAA's new eligibility structure, it starts with ladder classes and then gives players 5 years of competition. So the 2022 class is like, yo, what's up with us? And it's not fair. And this is why my problem going into this year is, as it relates to all the stuff off the field, we got to break it so we can fix it. Stop trying to put Band-Aids on what needs surgery. I repeat that. Stop putting Band-Aids on what needs surgery. It is clear, because we know that this has become ridiculous. At this point in time in recording, we are 4 days away from the season. 4 days. And we don't even know what players are going to be able to play. Like, that's insanity. Absolute insanity. But the NCAA, they built this. They got to own it. Mark Emmert, Charlie Baker, all of them. break this whole thing up and rebuild it correctly. Well, but George, it's difficult. It's complicated. Yes, they spent $100 million on lawyers. Imagine if they had spent it on the right things. They made this. They made this. They spent the money. They got all this, and now the bill is coming due. The bill is due, and the growing pains are a sin tax. You avoided dealing honestly with athlete compensation and athlete power for decades. Now you're paying interest. And the answer ain't going backwards. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's building a real labor system. And this is where the story gets even weirder with Lane Kiffin. Because then we get a mystery phone call because Browns coach Todd Monken told reporters that Lane Kiffin called him about a week earlier. And then once the Daquan Wright situation happened, Monken said it was easy to see why Lane had called. Lane says that never happened. Not, I don't remember, I don't know Todd Monken. He says he doesn't even have the man's number, which means Lane's explanation is essentially somebody may have called Todd Monken pretending to be Lane Kiffin. Like, we got fake Lane Kiffin making recruiting calls? Like college football fans, NFL players returning to college, judges declaring eligibility, conference loopholes, and possibly Lane Kiffin identity theft. What are we doing? What are we doing? But the big question that everybody has to answer is, what is Greg Sankey going to do? Is he going to take a page out of the Big Ten book? Or is he going to and say, listen, we're not allowing this? Or is it 15? Well, in a 15 versus 1, because no SEC teams have essentially done this except for LSU for the most part. So if it's 15 versus 1, what is LSU going to do? They don't have a choice. And this statement that the SEC put out is just a strongly worded opinion. It's not even fact. It's not even fact. So after Lane Kiffin's comments, you have to wonder, is LSU going to fight this? Like, does another judge enter the chat? Does the interconference transfer rule apply after an NFL detour? And does that rule even apply? Because the SEC had the rule that spring transfers can't transfer interconference, but there's only one transfer window now. So this feels like technical loophole all over the place. And then the question we got to answer is, does LSU even need more weapons? They got a $50 million roster. Like, why do they even need Daquan Wright and the other kid? They already got Trey Green and other tight ends on the roster too. Like, at some point, like, Lane Kiffin is not ordering food. He's hoarding sauce. Like, this is like going to Chick-fil-A, ordering 12 nuggets and then asking for 50 sauces. Brother, how much sauce do you need? Barbecue, buffalo, ranch, honey mustard? Like, what? The sauce, you got to put it in the glove compartment, store it under the passenger seat. Like your wife finding, sauce in the laundry. At some point, you're not collecting sauce because you need it. You're collecting it so nobody else gets it. And maybe that's LSU because they're doing it in basketball too. Like, do we need another tight end? Nah, you probably don't. So you guys leave in the comments, where do you stand on this? Last thing we got to talk about today is we got to talk about some actual football. Starting quarterbacks are being named. Florida has one. Alabama, Arkansas, Vanderbilt. But one thing that kept coming back to me is Tennessee and what happened at Alabama too, where they're starting a freshman. Vanderbilt is not starting Jared Curtis as a freshman. But Tennessee, their true freshman Faison Brandon is now their starting quarterback. And Tennessee fans, listen carefully before you start yelling. I'm not saying that Josh Heupel made the wrong decision. I don't watch Faison every single day. Heupel does. Tennessee says that he earned it. Fine, cool, let him play. My concern, though, is bigger than this. Because as college football becomes more like the NFL financially, are we going to start treating young quarterbacks like NFL first-round picks? Like, first, understand the player. 5-star, 6'4", 225 pounds. Grimsley High School in Greensboro, 35-1 as a starter. More than 6,000 passing yards, nearly 80 touchdowns. Beast. Like, this ain't Tennessee throwing a random freshman in the fire. This is one of the best quarterback recruits in America. And the pressure is not raw. Like, it's not new to him. Like, his family was already involved in a major NIL fight in North Carolina before he reached college. His mother sued the state over the state's rule blocking public school athletes from NIL deals. And then a judge's injunction helped open the door for athletes to make NIL money. The kid was part of changing high school sports era before his first college snap. So pressure, he's seen that. Why I still worry though? Because quarterback is different. And I look at this differently now because I'm a quarterback dad. I have one son playing college football, another one playing in high school. And I see how much development goes into that. And these kids are more advanced than they used to be. Private quarterback coaches, strength trainers, speed trainers, 7-on-7, film work, nutrition, throwing coaches. Some of these elite quarterbacks have been getting professional support since they were 14 years old. So colleges, yes, they're getting a more finished product, but the polish does not mean finished. And what happens in the NFL is that we paid him, we drafted him number one, so we have to play him immediately. And I hate that when it comes to the league. I talk about it all the time. Is that just because you were drafted highly does not mean that you are ready to start immediately. And fans, boosters, everybody involved, front office, they're like, no, we got to get him on the field now. We paid him all this money. We drafted him so high. Well, history shows that development for quarterback matters and that very few dudes are ready to play day one fresh out the box. And there's nothing wrong with that. Aaron Rodgers, he took years to develop. Look at look at what happened to Bryce Young. Imagine had they played Andy Dalton first. He doesn't do well because the team is bad, and then you bring in Bryce Young. All of that sentiment his rookie year is completely different. You let them grow, you let them develop, and you don't put them in bad situations. And I wonder, are we doing that in college football with these quarterbacks? Like, are we putting these 18, 19-year-old kids and sometimes 17-year-olds out there? And are they physically, mentally, emotionally ready as a leader, as a teammate? Because sometimes our talent takes us places that we're not mentally, emotionally, and spiritually ready for. Now, then you add against the competition. He's playing against grown-ups, 23, 24-year-olds. At times, 100,000 screaming fans, media, NIL deals, pressure, all of that. And you got to make sure that he's ready. But now you got a school that's trying to do it a different way, and that's Vanderbilt. Because their decision kind of interests me because Jared Curtis is the highest rated recruit in Vanderbilt football history. 5-star quarterback, almost 10,000 yards in high school passing, over 2,000 rushing yards. Kid was committed to Georgia and then flipped. If any program could say, we got this uniform, let's throw him out there, let's let him make all the mistakes that he can, and we'll live with it. But that's not what Vanderbilt did. Clark Lee, he confirmed that Blaze Berlowitz is the starter, but that the young freshman that he's going to play as well, that Curtis is going to play. Because the Berlowitz kid, he's been there for 2 years, knows the system, he waited. But at the same time, Vanderbilt is like, we gonna ease him in. If he's the better player, it is going to show, and we're going to get a chance to see him. I'm just telling you. And then you look at a kid that my son played with at UC Davis, Caden Pennick. Like, I've watched this example up close. He was my son's teammate at UC Davis, real athlete. He's a starter at Washington State now. He was even playing college football while waiting for his quarterback opportunity. Like, he didn't walk on the campus as the face of the program. He developed, he learned how to prepare, became part of the locker room. Then when he got his opportunity, he balled out. 3,200 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, almost 70% completions, and over 400 rushing yards. Big Sky Freshman of the Year, runner-up for the Jerry Rice Award. Now he transferred to Washington State. He's a starter there. That's development and patience paying off. I'm just telling you. So that's the question that we need to really answer, because all the money is nice, all of it is nice, but if you don't get developed, then what do you really have at the end of the day? The news is in. We got news. After we started recording, the Big Ten rule banning NFL players has officially passed with unanimous faculty rep approval. Here's the specific language of what's not allowed. And players that are ineligible. Any underclassmen who declared for the NFL draft and did not withdraw from the NFL draft process, and any football player who signed a contract with a sports league, or number 3, anyone who was officially on a professional roster. So out of all the players, there is one that we have found that is excused from this. So UCLA linebacker Trent Hendrickson, who was a James Madison transfer, is allowed to play this season because he was only given a tryout by the Browns and never placed on an NFL 90-man roster. This does not violate the Big Ten's new rule. And so he's going to be able to play. The kids at Indiana, Daly and Wyatt, they are ineligible right now. So that's where things stand. And the Big Ten said, if any coach plays any of these players who are ineligible, that the coach will be suspended for half the season. So take that as you will. All right. Now, the last thing that we got to talk about, Lord have mercy. You guys might have seen this clip. Royal High School football head coach Adam Brubaker, he got fired by the Simi Valley United School District after a practice video showed him kicking a football that struck a player in the junk. So here is what happened. So they were in a practice session. Brubaker, he was upset with the kid over an illegal rough tackle during a drill. And he went to the player and he's screaming and he's upset and all this stuff. And he's like, we got to keep our cool. We got to keep our control, all of this stuff. Kicks the ball, hits the player in the nuts, right? The video gets caught on the huddle camera, all of this stuff. He gets fired. Now, mind you, the coach owned it, everything else. And to me, this is a case in life where the outcome determined the consequences. Now, I will tell you, the coach could have helped himself out massively by just going over to the kid and going to go tend to the kid. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Like, this is horrible. I can't believe I did this, blah, blah. Like the whole shooting match. But that's not what he did. What he did is the complete opposite. He walks out of the frame. So we don't know what happened, whether he was on his knees crying or feeling whatever. But we don't see him. We just see him walk off. And the reason why I say that the consequences, because we know he didn't try. Well, we're assuming that he didn't try to kick the kid in the nuts with the football. Like that's a tough shot. Like that's a tough one. But this goes in life because a lot of times things get adjudicated by the result. And this is one of them. So the kid got hurt, so he gets fired. Had the kid got missed, he wouldn't be fired. That's just the reality of it. And I equate this to, like, everybody has made some poor choices, right? Imagine somebody who drives under the influence. Let's say they had a couple beers, or whatever. They're right at the legal limit. And they go and they drive a car. They get home safely. Somebody else does it, and they get in an accident with the same blood alcohol content, 0.08 exactly. Which person is worse? They're actually the same person. The results just matter. And this just goes to show why good decision-making is very important. But speaking of good decision-making, we got Brooks Austin up next here on the show. Make sure that you guys check it out because you know it is always fun when the ball knower himself, when the film guy himself is on the program. Y'all make sure y'all see that. Before the college football season even kicks off, everybody's making predictions. Who's going to win the ACC, the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12, and who is going to be hoisting the CFP trophy at the end of the season on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform. You can trade those predictions in a live market. You can trade on specific teams to make the college football playoffs, their win totals, and their futures as well. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there is no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and you can buy out of your position, trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use code UNAFRAID. Get up to $500 in bonus credits when you trade $25. KLSHI, Kalshi, trade on anything. College football is back, and this whole thing kicks off in Dublin, Ireland. We got North Carolina versus TCU. We know it's an international game, but we're junkies. We don't care. We will take it. And if that game, though, if it sounds familiar, it should, because a year ago, these two teams opened up the Bill Belichick era in Chapel Hill, and it was an unmitigated disaster for North Carolina because TCU walked into the stadium and beat them down 48-14. Now, it's a year later, different country, new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, rebuilt roster, same opponent that handed North Carolina its most embarrassing night of 2025. The football might not actually be the biggest story around this North Carolina program because Bill Belichick is walking into this opener without two of the most important people in his entire operation, and one of them isn't even on the plane. Let's set the table first because Bill Belichick is in year 2 at North Carolina, and last season they went 4-8. 2-6 in the ACC, and that's not what anybody in Chapel Hill signed up for. It's not even what most people thought around the country. You hire arguably the greatest coach in NFL history. You bring in an NFL-style infrastructure. You bring in a NFL front office, NFL general manager, even though nobody really believed in Mike Lombardi. And the expectation was that North Carolina would look sharper than the normal first-year team. They would be more organized, more physical, more prepared. Instead, they missed the bowl game. And now you flip to the other sideline. You got Sonny Dykes over there at TCU. Year 5, 9-4. They beat USC 30-27 in the Alamo Bowl to close out last year. They had back-to-back 9-win seasons. And for everybody, they still remember 2022 when TCU played for a national championship. So these two coaches, they walk into 2026 in completely different places because Dykes has proven that he can win at this level. Bill Belichick is trying to prove that what made him great in the NFL can actually transition over to college football. Here's where things get messy. Mike Lombardi from over there at UNC. Dude has been on paid leave since this summer while the university investigates a complaint against him. And Lombardi ain't just some random name in the staff directory. He's one of Bill Belichick's closest longtime people, and he helped build this entire operation. Makes us wonder, is this going to work? Now, I do want to be careful here because UNC has confirmed that there's an investigation and the school has not laid out what the underlying component actually is. So this is a reported personnel matter under review. Now, it's not a set of confirmed facts, so I'm not going to pretend to know more than I actually know or that I'm allowed to say. The other one, Steve Belichick, who's Bill Belichick's son, the defensive coordinator. Like, he's been on indefinite medical leave since early August, and North Carolina confirmed this week that he's not even traveling to Ireland with the team. So now, run that back. Your GM is out pending an investigation. Your defensive coordinator is out on medical leave and isn't even getting on a flight. Your defensive coordinator is also your son. So he clearly got something going on. You're traveling all the way across the pond to play against a team that beat you by 34 points last year. No interim coordinator has been named, and Bill has said his staff is dividing up the responsibilities. And the last time we heard that, like, who was that? Like Matt Patricia, a defensive guy, was the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, which was an absolute disaster. And let me be clear about something. I don't think Bill Belichick has to win this game because TCU's good. North Carolina, they're still rebuilding. That's fine. What North Carolina cannot do is look like it did last year. No offense and getting their doors blown off. And I want you to sit with what last year actually was because 4-8 doesn't fully capture it. North Carolina scored a little over 19 points a game. That's 120th in the country. They threw for 174 yards a game, which puts them well past 100 as well. Total offense is under 300 yards a game. This is one of the worst offenses in the country. Dead last in the ACC. You're supposed to have an NFL front office, NFL head coach, and the offense finish a hair from the worst in the sport. And now here's what people miss, though, about the whole thing. The defense wasn't the problem, because Steve Belichick's unit finished 34th nationally in total defense, 7th in the ACC. They gave up 24 and a half points a game, which is, middle of the pack. And they did that while the offense kept handing the ball back over. So defense and offense work together so closely because the better your defense plays, the shorter fields you get. The worse it plays, you have longer fields to go. So they were getting longer fields and shorter fields on defense and still getting stops. So the guy who was actually doing the job at a high level last year is the guy who isn't on the plane this year. That's not a small thing. That's the whole thing. And before anybody paints TCU as the calm, the stable program in this matchup, no, they had a wild camp too. Jacob Fields, who we made a video about, a projected starting safety who transferred in from Louisiana Tech as Conference USA's Defensive Player of the Year. He got dismissed from the team after a locker room fight with another teammate. An aggravated assault incident was reported to TCU campus police. Now, we don't know all the details, but what we do know is that a projected starting safety is gone days before the opener over a serious locker room incident. So if we're being honest, the one area that TCU could least afford to lose a player, that's the area where they just lost one. Now, here's my favorite part of the storyline of this whole entire game. Josh Hoover, TCU's former quarterback, over 3,000 yards last year. He then transfers to Indiana. And after the kid left, Sonny Dykes pointed out that Hoover turned the ball over 42 times in 31 starts. That is 33 interceptions, 9 fumbles. And he brought that up while explaining that why TCU's record wasn't better. 42 turnovers. First of all, Indiana thinks that that's going to be wiped out because of the defense and all that stuff. We shall see. Now, coaches don't accidentally have that number memorized. Oh, no. He had that waiting. And he could have said, hey, great player. We appreciate Josh. We wish him well. Instead, we got, hey, we ain't going to miss all these turnovers, though. And that raises the stakes on Sonny Dykes himself. You don't call out your old quarterback's ball security and then hand the job to a guy who gives it away. Now, who is that guy, though? We got Jaden Craig, smart man, Harvard transfer. I know what you're thinking. Harvard guy going to go play up with the big boys. Listen, but look at Jaden Craig, though. The leading passer in Harvard history, 6,000 yards, 52 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. And last season, he threw for 2,800 yards and 25 touchdowns and 7 picks. And Harvard went 9-2 and had a share of the Ivy League title. Now, here's the number, though, that puts this whole thing together. Craig threw 12 interceptions on 714 career attempts. That is an interception rate of 1.7%. Josh Hoover, the guy that the head coach Sonny Dykes called out, he threw 33 picks on over 1,100 attempts. That's 2.8%. So Dykes didn't just complain about the turnovers. He went out and got the most careful quarterback that he could possibly find, and I don't believe that that's on accident. I believe that that's a statement about how he wants his offense to look. But here's the catch, though, and it's a real one because TCU has a brand new offensive coordinator, Gordon Samus. And he came over from UConn after Kendall Browse left for South Carolina. So you got a new quarterback from FCS, a new system, with a new play caller, and his first snap comes in another country. That's a lot of new for one Saturday. The good news, though, is that he's not alone. Jordan Dwyer is back at wide receiver, 730 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. Now, TCU, they did lose Eric McAllister, who put up 1,100 yards, almost 1,200 yards, and was one of the most productive wide receivers in the country. So Dwyer, he steps in from second option, goes to first option, and that's a real adjustment. But when you put up over 700 yards, you got to believe that the kid can do it. Then at running back, you got Jeremy Payne. He's another piece. He finished with over 600 yards last season, but 476 of them came in TCU's final 5 games. So that's a guy who got it rolling late. And TCU, they are going to need him because this is a program that threw for 278 yards a game, which was 8th in the entire country while ranking 100th in rushing. So that's not balanced. Like, that's a passing team that's pretending that it has a run game, which is a lot of air raid offenses. So in this game, though, if Craig struggles early, there ain't no ground game that he's going to be able to hide behind. Now, when we look at the other side, though, North Carolina, they counter with Billy Edwards Jr., and this is a bet because Edwards was named the starter just before the season, and he beat out Miles O'Neal. Now, he's on his 4th school. He's been to Wake Forest, Maryland, Wisconsin, and now North Carolina. And when he's been healthy, he's been very good. Because in 2024 at Maryland, he threw for 2,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, but he did throw 9 picks. And in that year, he averaged over 260 yards a game, which was second in the entire Big Ten. And then last year happened. He goes to Wisconsin as the starter, hurt his knee in the opener, tried to come back in week 4, and then aggravated it. And his final line for the season was 7 for 16, 113 yards, and took a medical red shirt. So North Carolina actually plans a quarterback who was excellent 2 years ago and barely played last year. And here's the piece that makes me more optimistic than I would be, is you got Bobby Petrino. He's calling the plays now over at North Carolina because this dude puts up points, but he's also typically your head coach in waiting. Like, that's how he rolls. And if Bill Belichick gets fired, and whatever you think about Bobby Petrino as a person, the man has spent decades trying to find ways to move the football. And North Carolina's offense, it could not have been worse. There is nowhere for them to go but up. And then at wide receiver, you got Jordan Shipp. He's the same. And he led the team last year with 671 yards receiving. And at ACC Media Day, he said out loud what most of the locker room stayed quiet about. And that's that it feels like people are out to get his coach, and he's looking forward to proving them wrong.
In terms of frustrations, I mean, nobody likes to lose. So, I mean, I wasn't the only one frustrated. Everybody was frustrated, but we understood that those frustrations need to be pointed in the right direction. Us sitting in the locker room pointing fingers, that's not going to help us go anywhere. So, I mean, we all just kind of had to rally against each other, or rally with each other, because it seemed like everybody was kind of against us. Everybody wanted to see Coach Belichick fail. Nobody wanted to see him be successful in his first year of college football. Nobody wanted to see that. And we learned that more and more. We seen like there were articles coming out saying like he wasn't at practice during the bye week when we just got off the field and he's standing right next to me, like stuff like that. It's like it just sounds dumb. It's just like, no, that's not true.
That's pretty bold. Now, let's see whether that fires up his teammates or it just gives everybody a reason to come out swinging harder against him. Now, I believe the matchup that is going to decide this whole thing starts with the fact that you have to put the numbers aside because this is the whole game. North Carolina's passing offense last year, 109th in the country. TCU's pass defense last year, 116th in the country, last in the Big 12. Like, somebody has to be different. Like, one of them 2 units is going to prove that last season was an outlier, and one is going to prove that it wasn't. Now, if Billy Edwards, if he can push the ball down the field against a secondary that already couldn't stop anybody and then just lost the starting safety, then North Carolina has a real chance. If he can't, then we're watching the same movie that we watched in Chapel Hill. Because TCU, they're favored by about a touchdown, and the number has just been sitting around 7.5. When we look at the numbers over at Kalshi, over 74% of people believe that and have predicted that TCU is going to win this football game to only 26% for UNC. And then when we look at the total, 7.5 points, 51% believe that TCU wins by more than 7.5 points. And then there is 48% of people believe that that it will be over 47.5 point score. So this is exciting. This is exciting. And the reason why is because I do not believe that this is fixed over at North Carolina at this point in time. You can't believe that. You can't. Now, here are 5 things, though, that are important to believe before I give you my prediction in this game. One, North Carolina does look calmer than the chaos. There are 5 things to examine before I give you the prediction. Number one, does North Carolina look calmer than the chaos around it? Because there's a difference between drama that bothers fans and drama that gets into and infects a football team. The second thing, can Billy Edwards and Bobby Petrino give this offense identity in one afternoon over there in Dublin? Number three, who's actually running that North Carolina defense with Steve Belichick not on the trip? Because that unit was the one thing that worked last year. Number four, how does TCU secondary hold up? Like, it was the worst in the Big 12 before they lost Jacob Fields. And number five, Jaden Craig. Like, because Sonny Dykes, he made the ball security subject the entire thing when he talked about his old quarterback. Now his new quarterback gets on this stage in a new system in another country. He better take care of the football. So for me, I am going to take TCU to win this football game, but barely though. But barely. I am going to take the under for the 7.5 in my prediction because I trust North Carolina to put a good, competent defense out. I do not trust TCU to put a good, competent defense out. And we've seen Billy Edwards put up points. But you guys tell me what you guys think. Put it in the comments right now before this game is over with, and then come see me after. Because don't just watch the video, make a pick in the comments. I am so excited about this NC State versus Virginia game. Week 0, Charlottesville, Virginia. And this might be the most evenly matched Week 0 game that there is. Technically, this game isn't even supposed to be here in the United States because it was originally scheduled to open the season in Brazil. But then the game fell apart for whatever reasons. It's at Scott Stadium, 3:30 Eastern. And for Virginia, oh, this might be a huge break because the Cavaliers are coming off the best season in school history, and they're trying to sell out Scott Stadium. And instead of playing NC State at a neutral site, oh, they get them at home. And these teams know each other. They played last season. NC State won 35-31. And here's what's crazy. Virginia lost that game and then went on to have the greatest season in program history. So now we got to do a rematch. 2 experienced quarterbacks, 2 teams that believe that that they can be factors in the ACC. And unlike some of these Week 0 games, this one could really go either way. You got the coaches, and we're going to start with Virginia. Tony Elliott headed into year 5, and what a difference a year makes because Virginia went in his career 3-7, 3-9, 5-7, and people thought he was on the hot seat, and then 11-3. And that was a school record for wins, and they went 7-1 in the ACC. And they finished alone, not Miami, not anybody else, alone at the top of the ACC regular season standings. And they played Duke in the ACC championship, and then they beat Missouri 13-7 in the Gator Bowl. Tony Elliott went from being a coach that people were asking questions about, like, I don't know about this dude. He came out of Clemson. I don't think it's working. To ACC Coach of the Year. But now comes the hard part because if you do it once, it's an accident. If you do it twice, you can really do it because nobody is overlooking Virginia anymore. And on the other sideline, though, against him, Dave Dorn going into year 14 at NC State. Now, I called the game there. I haven't called games for ESPN in over 10 years, and Dave Dorn was there at the time. And he's built one of the most stable programs in college football because NC State went 8-5 last season. They finished with 3 straight wins and beat Memphis 31-7 in the Gasparilla Bowl. But the question surrounding NC State has been the same for a while. Like, can they go from being consistently good, 7, 8, even occasionally 9 wins, to actually breaking through? You know, hitting that 9 regularly, 10 wins, good bowl games, more NFL players. Like, that's all good. But NC State has never played in the ACC championship game under Dave Dorn. And when you got the quarterback that they have this season, expectations, they actually should be higher. And that starts us with our man, CJ Bailey. Because CJ Bailey is not the young quarterback anymore. 2 years ago, Bailey was the freshman who got thrown into the fire after Grayson McCall got injured. Now, This is by far his team. And last season, Bailey, he threw for over 3,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, and only 9 interceptions. And he completed almost 69% of his passes. And he can hurt you with his legs too, but that arm is deadly. And over his first 2 seasons, he already has more than 5,500 yards passing and 42 touchdowns to his name. And that's why I wanted my producer to ask CJ something beyond the statistics. And what stood out was how comfortable he sounded with the responsibility of leading his football team.
My sophomore year, when I first got the keys to being the offense, it was a lot. It was a lot thrown at me. I learned how to manage all of that. There's no stress, there's no pressure. I'm feeling relief. Everybody knows it's me. Everybody know I'm the leader right now, and they believe in me. And I'm gonna pour more into my guys, and I believe in every one of those guys. So coming in this year, it's gonna be a different year for me.
And that's the progression that I want to see. There's a difference between being the starting quarterback and being the dude, being the guy. Because Bailey sounds like he believes he's reached that point. And apparently his teammates do too. Because when my producer talked with their running back, Duke Scott, and asked him about his quarterback, Duke didn't tell me CJ has one of the best quarterbacks, that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC. No, he went way much, even incredibly further than that.
I haven't been standing here long, but twice you call CJ the best quarterback in the country, and it's not like you're bragging or hyping him up. It just rolls off the tongue. It's a core belief. What about his personality and what he's done in the time that you came in with him makes you believe that he's going to go out there and prove that?
I believe he has that it factor. And it's hard to really describe it, but it's when you see it, you know it. And I feel like I see it. Everything he does, everything he goes, the way he goes about stuff, his leadership qualities, his performance on the field. It just there's nothing I see where don't see him being the number one quarterback.
Hey, hold on. Time out from the prediction. Make sure that you guys like, share, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about college football's best show. Let's get back to the program. Number 1 in the country. Okay? I love that confidence. But now you just raised the standard, because if your quarterback is the best in America, then NC State shouldn't be thinking about sneaking into a good bowl game. You should be talking about competing for the ACC. And that's what makes this season so fascinating. But the question is, who is CJ Bailey throwing the ball to? Because this is probably my biggest question about NC State's offense. Because Bailey is established. The running game has pieces. Duke Scott is back. But the receiving core has been rebuilt. NC State lost several of its top pass catchers, including tight end Justin Jolly and wide receiver Wesley Grimes. So now you got names like Keenan Jackson, Alabama transfer Davion Dozier, Miami transfer Chance Robinson, and then you got JoJo Trader, another former Miami wide receiver who actually has a long relationship with Bailey going back to his South Florida days. There is talent in the room, but talent and production, they are not the same thing. We cannot get confused. So Bailey's challenge isn't just being great himself. It's to get a new group of wide receivers ready immediately, because Virginia's secondary has been heavily reinforced through the portal. And guess what? Virginia's got a new quarterback too. And this is probably the biggest question mark, because Virginia's quarterback story is different. He's Bo Pribula, Penn State, played behind Aller. They were running 2 quarterbacks on and off the field. Sometimes he transfers to Missouri, gets hurt, comes in, plays a little bit. Now he's at Virginia. He started 10 games for Missouri last season and went 7-3. Threw for 1,900 yards and rushed for almost 300 more and accounted for 17 total touchdowns. Now, he ain't a quarterback who's afraid to run into somebody. Pribula is physical. He's athletic. He's comfortable using his legs. So NC State has to account for him on every single snap. Here's another interesting part about this, because late last year, Pribula at Missouri, he kept finding himself on the road at Auburn, Vanderbilt, and then after an injury, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then now he transfers to Virginia. And in his first start as a Cavalier, he gets moved from Brazil to his home stadium. And when my producer talked to Bo, you could tell that mattered to him.
Virginia reporter, but one thing that I know about you is you had a really strange end to your season last year. You did not get a home game for the entire second half of the season. Every time you started, it was on the road. Now you're back home. or back on the East Coast, you're closer to family. Just how much does it mean to you to be able to have those experiences in front of your own like classmates and stuff like that?
It means a lot. It means a lot, especially after just the culture that was built and the feel of campus last year. I know I wasn't here, obviously, but, just watching, that Florida State game, that field storm, and from hearing from my teammates, it's night and day compared to what it used to be, and we want to keep that momentum rolling because it's an advantage. Playing at home week 0 is an advantage, and as far as being closer to home for me, I know I've had so many people from my hometown that want to come to games and just couldn't go last year out in Missouri just because it's a tougher place to get to, and it just means a lot for me to have them be able to come and experience some games this fall.
That's a nice little twist of fate, right? Because Virginia spent months preparing to open the season thousands of miles away. So instead, Pribula gets his first Virginia start in front of Wahoo Nation. And Virginia has been actively pushing to sell out Scott for this game. The atmosphere, that could actually matter because Pribula has an old offensive line. And I mean that as a compliment. Virginia, they might have one of the most experienced offensive lines in college football. Their projected starters entered camp at 22, 25, 24, 23, and 24. These dudes got mortgages, 401ks. They worried about their cholesterol. They get married. I'm joking. I mean, mostly. But experience on the offensive line actually matters. And for a transfer quarterback making his first start in a new offense, that is exactly what you want, and a good running game. Because Pribula isn't being asked to hide behind, 5 freshmen. He's playing behind grown men. And don't forget what happened last year. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine. September 6th, 2025. Virginia came into Raleigh, and the Cavaliers led NC State 24-14 at halftime. And then C.J. Bailey and the Wolfpack, they responded. Bailey ran for 2 touchdowns. Hollywood Smothers ran for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns, who is now not there down at Texas. And NC State came back to win 35-31. Now, Virginia actually had an opportunity late in that game, but Kane Stone intercepted Chandler Morris in the end zone with about a minute left to go in that game. Now, that loss could have wrecked Virginia's entire season. Instead, they barely lost again during the regular season, and they went to the ACC championship game, won 11 games. And now Virginia gets the team that beat them at home to start this season. You don't need to manufacture motivation. The matchup I'm watching, I want to see Virginia's defense against C.J. Bailey. Virginia allowed 19.6 points per game last year and about 310 total yards per game. That's good defense. And they've loaded up in the secondary too. They got Wisconsin transfer Agard, Rutgers transfer Jacoby Henderson, Michigan transfer Brandon Hillman, plus returning players like Ethan Minter and Donovan Platt. Like, that is pretty good. That's honestly a pretty good opening exam for C.J. Bailey's new wide receivers, because Virginia is probably going to look over at him and say, look, C.J., we know you're good, pal. We know you're good. Prove these new guys are ready to. And Virginia, they honestly got the same question at wide receiver. And this part is interesting because Virginia doesn't really know who its number 1 wide receiver is either. They got transfers, Deshaun Martin, Rico Flores Jr., Jaquan Gibson. Like, they got returners. But through camp, Tony Elliott and the staff have talked about wanting more separation and consistency from that group. So in this matchup, both quarterbacks have experience. Both quarterbacks can run. Both quarterbacks have veteran pieces around them. And both of them are trying to figure out exactly who they can trust when it's 3rd and 8 and somebody has to get open. That's why this game feels so even. The Kalshi market agrees because as of recording this, Virginia is approximately 66% to win. NC State, about 34. And then when you look at the line on this, Virginia is favored by 5.5 points with the total around 53.5. So Virginia is favored in this game. But this isn't anything close to the USC San Jose State. NC State has a very real path to winning this football game. And I'm going to give you my prediction in a minute. But what I'm watching, number 1, is C.J. Bailey. His teammates called him the best quarterback in America. Okay, let's see what he looks like on the road against an experienced defense. Number 2, Bo Pribula. New school, new offense, new teammates, and finally a home game. Like, can he use that energy without trying to do too much? Number 3, NC State's new receivers. Somebody's got to emerge, so it's got to happen quickly. And number 4, Virginia's offensive line against NC State's front. If Virginia can control the line of scrimmage and let Pribula's legs become part of the running game, NC State could actually have a problem. And number 5, how is Virginia going to handle expectations? Because last year, nobody expected 11 wins. Hell, they were expecting to potentially fire Tony Elliott. And now everybody knows that they're good. They paid attention to the transfer portal class, and that's different because it's a lot easier to hunt than be hunted. My prediction in this game, I am going to take Virginia to win this game. My biggest question is surrounding Bo Pribula. Can he play and make plays and distribute the football without being a dink and dunk guy or turning the ball over? Because NC State has the best quarterback, but I think Virginia has the better team. Now, I am going to take Virginia minus the 5.5. I am with the public on this one. I'm with the Kalshi public on this one. I am taking Virginia in this football game. Let me know who's going to win this football game. Make sure that you guys like, share, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. We are joined by the ball knower himself, Mr. Brooks Austin. The man who just did what we did. He just went corporate. He just sold out to On 3. How do you feel about yourself, Brooks?
I feel like for years I threw shots at the algorithm all by myself, and we built a nice, steady fire. And I was finally ready to hook up to a gas station and have a bunch of gas thrown on my fire, which I would imagine, George, having conversations with you, that's the exact way you felt about this opportunity.
Yes.
There is no bigger college football media name right now than On3, and there probably won't be for the foreseeable future. So I feel like it was time to hitch the wagon onto something because it is tough, man. As an independent content creator, and I maintain my independency and my ownership over what I had. So it felt like it was a win-win opportunity, right? Have someone actually push my work other than me push my own work. And I'm a good pusher. I do my good work. And I do a good job, and we got over 104,000 subscribers, but it's hard for me, apart from coming on your show, George, it's hard for me as this Southeastern pigeonholed guy to get in front of an Oregon football fan, or get in front of a USC football fan, or get in front of name a fan base that's not already entrenched in my world. It's hard for me to get out in front of those people. And yesterday, for the first time in my career, I was trending on social media yesterday for 7 hours. That ain't never happened for me. And the reason it did is because of what we did yesterday. So, I'm super excited to have somebody actually push my work other than a hope and a prayer and an algorithm, which is all we have as independent content creators. So it was a win-win.
People don't understand what that world is like when you do something and you know it's good and you're just like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
you push publish and you just pray.
Or even worse, George, like when you do something that you're like, that was all right, and then it bangs and you're like, why?
Yes.
Why did that do so well? And like, you don't know. It's the hardest thing about being an independent content creator is like you just have no idea why what works. Where as a former athlete, if I got good results, I know why. I can look at the process and say, that is why right there. Look at that. I put the work in, and that's why. And when we're just throwing shots up into the algorithm, it's just like, I don't know why that one went down, and I don't know if I can replicate it. But now we have a steady base and stream of gasoline, which is what On3 is to me. It is the gasoline.
Dude, I'm gonna give you a prime example of this, and it applies to something that's going on in college football right now. So I put together this take that I thought was fantastic. I'll give it to you. and it kind of came on the heels of me being in Nashville at the On3 offices, and Shannon Terry was talking about how we really need to focus on the games and everything else, because we've had so much noise around everything in the off season, all these court cases, drama, all this stuff. And mind you, this is before all the 5 for 5 lawsuits. and then I started thinking, because I've been a big WNBA fan, as long as it's been around, because my dad was a girls basketball coach. Both my sisters played in college. So I've been watching since the Comets and Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson, and Cynthia Cooper. And my take was that we can't let college football become the WNBA, in that the noise surrounding the game is distracting from the thing that we actually care about the most, which is the actual game. Man, I put this whole thing together, and I think it's got like 300 views right now. And it was hot. But I promise you, it was some of my best work, Brooks. But then I put up a video of the new rules for 2026 in college football. I put it up randomly on Sunday. Thought it was just, I was like, I probably won't do well. My producer texted me at like 7 o'clock, like 3 hours later, and was like, "Oh, it's got 20,000 views." I was like, "What?"
Internet.
I was like, "Bro, I thought the Caitlin Clark, the whole WNBA, I thought that one was going viral." Nope.
Yeah, no. It is a frustrating world, but hey, I could be running a jackhammer working construction, so I'll take this microphone. I'll take this right here. We're all right. We're all right with this one.
So we're in a world, Brooks, 5 for 5. There's the Colorado lawsuit that allowed players to play, but then didn't let them hop in the transfer portal. And then we had the Louisiana one, which had 16 players in it, which allowed them to play. Then there was lawsuits in other places. Everybody's eligible to play. NCAA gets in a stay in the Colorado case, which then disallows those players who have not filed lawsuits from playing until the case is adjudicated. So now we have, up to this point, we have now the Big Ten saying nobody is coming to this conference and playing if you are done playing. And the SEC is having meetings about it. ACC is discussing it. We haven't heard about the Big 12. But I think that this is a big moment for college football, Brooks. Actually, first of all, where do you stand on this issue of players being able to come back and play after they have essentially been out of college football for a few months and have tried their hand at the NFL and failed?
Yeah, I'm a hard stop guy. The moment you try your hand at the NFL, as the Bible says, the die has been cast. That's it. I'm done on that one. You're done on college football. There is no, it didn't work out for me at this NFL level. I'm not good enough. Let me go take $900,000 to be Lane Kiffin's defensive tackle. Nope. A hard stop. I'm a hard stop on the Cole Houston thing, or Cole, whatever buddy's name is, that the Texas fifth-year center. Yeah. Like, dude, just because you got cut before OTAs even started up there with the Dallas Cowboys don't mean you just get to come back to us. No, that's not how that works. If you didn't think you were good enough to go make it in the NFL, like you obviously thought you were when you try your hand at it, you would have TRO'd the NCAA from Jump Street to get your fifth year anyways, because we know you can get one of these. But no, all of them thought they were going to be good enough to play in the NFL. They found out they weren't, or they found out that it was actually more fortuitous for them. They were going to make more money being in college football than being on an NFL practice squad. So now they're like, hey, I want to go back. No, that's not how this works. I don't think that's how this should ever work. I am a hard stop guy. You try your hand at the NFL, done. You have walked away from college football. And that's a decision you have to live with. Not, I found out new information 6 months later.
Brooks.
That's not how that works.
Brooks, under any normal set of circumstances, I would agree with you. But this right here, I mean, I buy 100% of what you're selling. except in this case for this one class, because the NCAA did this on purpose. Instead of putting this rule in January, because remember, they've been breadcrumbing it out, like talking about it since last year. If they had put this in place in January, kids would have made different decisions. Some of them would have stayed in school for another year. Yes, some of them would have gone to the NFL and tried their hand. And you know what? If you did that, tough, as my grandmother would say, tough titty. And it just, I don't feel any sympathy for you. But the fact that they did this, and they did it intentionally, they waited until the summertime to put this in. So, and I honestly, I probably have a little bit of a different perspective of it, right? Because this personally impacted like somebody close to me. So my son's girlfriend was a All-American volleyball player last year, okay, at UC Davis. She played 4 years. If she had known, and mind you, she's playing professional volleyball in China right now. I'm sorry, in Japan right now. Had she known that she could have gone and played another year, she was an All-American. She would have transferred to Nebraska, Penn State, Texas, somewhere else, and got 6 digits, probably 250 to 400 to go play. And people like her, in not only, because this doesn't just impact football players, people in baseball, all of this stuff, they got screwed over. And the NCAA, if they had done this in January, then I would not feel sorry for anybody, Brooks. But the fact that they did this, and some of these kids, this is the last time that they're ever going to play sports, organized sports. They are screwing them over. But then also, I do understand on the other side where because they did this, and if players are allowed to come back, and we're probably only talking about 50 football players, maybe that many, then they screw over kids who made transfer decisions or not transfer decisions based upon a potential open spot. So I
George,
get that.
I could be completely wrong here, and I probably am. But the 5 for 5 was going to be tied into the Save College Sports Act. So, and when we realized midway through the summer that wasn't actually going to get passed and implemented because the Big Ten and the SEC dragged their feet, therefore the Senate couldn't actually vote on it, and now it looks like it's not ever going to pass. At that point, when the realization that the Save College Sports Act wasn't actually going to get pushed through, it's my interpretation of the timeline that's why the NCAA implemented this rule in July. That they finally said, okay, well, we'll make this 5 for 5 rule in and of our own right, because we can actually try to have some type of rules around eligibility in and of our own right. I'm with you. The timeline sucks. It's unfortunate. But somebody's got to get screwed. Like when these new rules come out.
Screwed, Brooks.
What?
If you allow, if they, because they were waiting on Congress to do something. They have been trying to get this done for forever. And the truth be told is, I've talked to many lawyers about this. Congress ain't going to save them. It's not going to stop the lawsuits. None of that. Because all they're going to do is they're going to go to court, and then they're going to be like, okay, this is a violation. This is an antitrust thing. This is all there's so much legal precedent that wasn't going to allow so much of the Protect College Sports Act to stand, which is why I was against it. And I just hate this for so many people. But to me, Brooks, it just sticks out that the lack of leadership by the NCAA, it just needs to go away. But the thing that I noticed with this, Brooks, is that, okay, so we've already had the Patriot League. They were the first league to say that we were not going to accept transfers. The guys who had gone to the elite, because there was a quarterback at Vanderbilt. I'm sorry, at Villanova, who's in either Villanova. Yes, at Villanova, who's in the same situation. And then we saw what happened with the Big 12 and Sorsby. And now the Big 10 has said we're not accepting transfers. So, Brooks, this says to me that the NCAA has no power, but the conferences have more power than people actually think.
Yeah, we're going to get to a point where conferences are governing themselves, and they make their own schools sign up to play upon a set of rules. Look, the NCAA, to me, the mask pulling off of the villain. Oh, you're just a faceless, powerless four-letter word. That to me was exposed last year when the NCAA called Indiana the year like in August and was like, "Hey, that 26-year-old safety, he ain't allowed to play his 7th year of college football. He is ineligible." And Indiana was like, "Here's this TRO." And the kid played anyways, played all year, played all 16 games, played in the national title. And then nothing came of the TRO. The NCAA had ESPN write an article in February saying, "We're coming after you schools that threw us into TROs and played your kids anyways, despite the fact that we said they were ineligible." And nothing has become of that. That to me was the first moment where everyone was like, "Oh, wait a minute. They have no power." So here's what I ask. All right. George, you're old enough to remember a time period where everything was under the table. Everybody was cheating. Everybody knew everybody was cheating. But if you cheated harder than everybody else, they all turned you in. Remember that? They all governed themselves.
Yeah, they were like, "You went too far."
Yeah, you went too far, Eric Dickerson. I'm getting you for the Camaro. You went too far, Hugh Freeze. I'm getting you for improper cell phone use. Going to give you an 8-year show cause order for improper cell phone use. Because we used to govern ourselves, man. Like we all knew that everybody was doing something outside of the lines and the purviews of the sport. But if you were going crazy, they would govern themselves. That's all I want. I want college football coaches to understand, maybe just because we're allowed to, go out and murder people during the purge, that you're still murdering people. You're still killing people, okay? Like, just because it's allowed, just because you can get away with it, doesn't mean you should. Doesn't mean you should go out and do it. So it's all of them. It's all these coaches that are like, "Well, if I don't do it, the next guy's going to do it. If I don't take Daquan Wright, he's going to play for somebody else." Like,
so let him
draw a line somewhere. That's all I'm asking. Like, we know that there is no governing body. Look, this goes all the way back. I remember watching a video. I remember watching a video, George, remember when the college football entered the BCS era in 1998?
Oh, yeah.
I remember watching a video pop up on my timeline when NIL came around of Joe Biden, Senator Joe Biden, okay, in 1998, looking at the president of the NCAA and telling him verbatim, "Why are you here?" And the guy was like, "Well, I'm the president of the NCAA." And he goes, "Yeah, I know what your title says, but you very clearly have no power." That was in 1998. We've known this. We've long known this about college athletics. We've long known this.
This is why I've been for over 10 years, Brooks. Even when I testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee on Name, Image, and Likeness, I was like, why are we even here? Like that that they don't have any power. Collective bargaining is the only way forward because the conferences actually have power. So if you negotiate, if you can, I'm like, they've spent over $100 million on lawyers in the last 5 years. So imagine if they spent that $100 million on consultants to build a system and build a players union, because there are models for it. And then you could collectively bargain with the players, and it'll be just like the NFL. When Tom Brady or Ezekiel Elliott tried to sue to play after the NFL suspended him, what immediately happened, Brooks? They got a TRO for like half a minute, and then it was, never mind, we'll just take our suspension. Exactly. Yeah. So just...
to me, George, like everybody blames the NCAA, and it's easy to point at them, and they're fraudulent, they have no power, all that good stuff. But we know where the power resides. The power resides with the 30 to 35 most important universities that actually bring in the money, and the power resides with those presidents. So those are the people that need to receive this blame, not Mark Emmert. We all know Mark Emmert is he's basically a commissioner. The commissioner's job is to answer to the people that actually run these leagues and run these teams. And that's the NCAA president's job, is to listen to the president of Ohio State, the president of Georgia, the president of Oregon. Listen to these people and have them tell them what they want him to do. And then he goes out there and takes all the bullets and all the strays for him. So all those people need to get their house in order, and they need to be willing to collectively bargain. But the reality is they don't want to do that crap. They don't. They've never wanted to do it. That's why we've been in this circular argument for 35 years, and I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah. Emmerich was bad, and now Charlie Baker's doing the exact same damn thing. All right,
it's not that guy's fault. Like I can't believe anybody would take that job. Like I love Josh Pate. You don't want to be the commissioner, buddy. Nobody does. The commissioner's job is to go out there and eat shit. That's his job, and I don't think you want to eat shit for a living.
See, you want to be the commissioner if you're going to actually have power. As the commissioner.
And you're not gonna. You're not gonna.
So, okay. So now you said just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should. This points out two particular people to me. Number one is Curt Cignetti, who I like because he's an accomplished coach, all the bravado, all of this stuff, he backed it up. But then you cancel Notre Dame just because you can doesn't mean you should. And now we got Lane Kiffin, who got a $50 million roster already, and every player that wants to come back, he's like, hey, yo, come over here to LSU. We'll take you all. And it's like, I just don't feel like, I feel like his integrity is extremely low. And that he doesn't want, like, it's not about the kids. That this is about if this will benefit Lane Kiffin. And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, that somebody's going to take him, so might as well be us, even if we don't need him, or it's going to put some of the kids that we asked to come here in a bad spot.
Yeah, I think this all gets solidified in the next, I don't know when you're releasing this, within the next 24, 48 hours of recording this.
Yeah.
I would imagine the SEC goes in lockstep with the Big Ten. Which, by the way, if you haven't been paying attention the last, 5 years of college football, the Big Ten and the SEC, they're partners in this joint. They're partners in this joint. Now, Tony Petitti's doing a whole hell of a lot better of a job from a PR standpoint because he ain't out front catching all these strays as much as Greg Sankey is. A prime example was during the SEC media days, somebody asked Greg Sankey are y'all really going to take your ball and go home? Are y'all really going to separate and do your own little thing? And Greg Sankey was like, well, if they don't give us what we want, we're going to take our ball and go home. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. Tony Petitti said basically the same thing, but in a whole bunch of commissioner speak, and nobody gave him smoke, which is the reality of where we're at right now. If there's not going to be a nationwide governing body, they will pocket themselves. They will govern themselves in their own right. And that's where we're about to head. The Big Ten's already done it. They've gone outside of the NCAA purview, and they've said, we are establishing this rule within our own conference. You are not allowed to do this. All right? The SEC has basically said, we don't like this. We don't want this to be done. This is not what we stand for.
That was their statement. Horrendous yesterday. It was like, we don't like this, but we're not saying we're going to do anything about it, but we just want you to know that we don't like it.
But they're going, I would imagine they're going to.
But this has to feel like everybody, like 15 versus 1, because LSU is the school. Like, they multiple football players. Will Wade was just hugging a kid after court yesterday, like he just beat a murder trial. And you're like, so LSU clearly is going to be fighting against the rest of the SEC. You're down there in SEC country. What do you think ends up happening, or how this fight plays out? Because there's no way that LSU is going to be like, all right, cool. After they've already spent money, they've already made commitments, and Lane Kiffin is out there. I mean, why shouldn't they be allowed to play?
Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to actually. I think it's a lot of barking. I don't think they're actually going to bite. They're going to talk like, yeah, we'll just sue you. Okay, good luck. Go ahead and sue the league that you're in. Go ahead. Go right ahead. Try that. And while you're doing that, call Cody Campbell and see how that went for him. Go ahead. You're going to see a massive legal operation working against your one body. And it ain't going to go well for you.
Oh, and wait till them schedules come out for the next couple years, buddy. You're going to be on the road in some it'll be
I don't know if they'll go that. I don't know if they'll go that far, George. I don't think they'll like go out of their way to make life harder on LSU from a schedule standpoint. But I would imagine like they'll probably,
if they sue them. I'm saying
yeah,
if they sue them.
If they actually sue them, George, I would imagine the next step for Greg Sankey in the league is just to remove their membership. That would be the threat. Okay, you want to sue us? Fine. You just won't be in our league. We'll pay your lawsuits, whatever. We'll give you whatever. We'll make you just get out of here. Now, that ain't something that I would want if I were an LSU fan. Not over Daquan Wright. Hell no. Like Daquan, good football player. Not worth my SEC membership. Okay.
No, I feel that. So something else that we got to talk about, because games are actually starting, Brooks. Games are actually starting. We are at this point in time 4 sleeps away. We are 4 sleeps away from college football. I get to wake up in the studio doing everything, and then games at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern time. And that game is in Dublin. We don't have to talk about the international part of it, because I absolutely hate that. We got North Carolina versus TCU. I think this game was 48-14 last year. And the only thing I can think about, Brooks, is this feels like a must win for Bill Belichick, because this feels like the middle of the end, not the beginning of the end. This feels like the middle of the end, because Lombardi is suspended. His son is on indefinite
medical leave.
Their defense was the only thing that was good last year. There's turmoil all over the program. This feels like the middle of the end.
Yeah, I know we say we don't want to talk about being an international football game, but I did a little research. It rains like every day in Ireland, every day. And for some reason, that field is not made for rain, despite the fact that it's in Ireland. Every year that game is played, it's absolute freaking slop fest. I mean, the moment the rain starts falling.
State? Who was it? Iowa State.
It was Iowa State, Kansas State last year.
Yes.
And it was exactly what I'm describing. Constant rainfall, constant slipping all over the place. We got to change cleats, get to them. Remember them old school 3/4 spikes that we all loved to wear because they made us a little taller? They all had to switch into those. Maybe you didn't have that problem, but I did.
I didn't wear them to get taller. I just wore them because it was slippery.
I wore them to gain a half an inch. That's what I was doing. Damn, the grip. Like, I ain't worried about none of that. I'm trying to be taller. This will be a slop fest. So this will be all about who can run the ball, who can not turn it over, who's disciplined, who can actually do these. So it's going to be TCU. That's who it's going to be. I also don't know what's going on with me lately, George. I'm just rooting for the epic downfall of this at UNC. I hated the entire process of how they went out hiring Bill Belichick. I hope that booster runs and tucks tail and is just the most embarrassed human being on the planet come Saturday at noon. Because if you don't know the story, for those who don't, UNC has one predominant booster, a guy that gives like 35% of their annual booster dollars. They were in the middle of a legitimate hiring process. All right. They had legitimate coaching candidates. And this one booster had a sweetheart deal with Bill Belichick. And he walked into the Board of Trustees meeting and he said, hey, if y'all don't hire Bill Belichick and promise that if it goes good, that we'll hire his nepotistic son, I'm taking all my money and leaving. And so they were like, okay, I guess we'll do this. And it's been an absolute ever-loving disaster. So good on you. I hope it gets worse. I hope TCU beats you by 100 on Saturday. And I hope it's absolutely one of the most embarrassing things that you've ever had to sit through for that singular solitary booster. And I hope that's how this goes. And I don't know why that's happening to me. I don't know what's happening in my brain to make me just have vitriol for this process. But I think that's what it was. I think it was the whole machine. The whole thing. And I think UNC fans should be right there with me. Just root for misery. Root for suck.
Brooks, it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable because I'm not a hater by nature. But I want this. Like I would not lose any sleep if this blew up poorly. No. I would actually just be like, this is probably what should have happened in the beginning. It's just. and for anybody, and mind you, I'm not a person that believes that nepotism equals incompetence, even though a lot of times it does. Because when nepotism meets competence, things go like crazy good.
Like Kyle
And
Shanahan.
yes, exactly. So, and I am going to, and I imagine that you are, Brooks. Things continue to go well in life. Our kids are going to have opportunities that other people's don't. Look at Mike Golick and his son.
Yeah.
You get to jump the line, but that doesn't mean you're terrible at what you do. Okay. But I think this leads us to another point, is which coach will be the first coach fired this year? Because last year went on an epic, legendary firing run. Will we have one of those, first of all? And then second of all, who will it be?
Well, there's only like one fireable coach in the SEC this year because half of them are brand new first-year football coaches. But here's my immediate thought process. You're going into a must-be-good year out there at Baylor, and you hitched your wagon to DJ Lagway?
Bro.
That's interesting. Hey, but he was in a straitjacket in Gainesville, so maybe he's a free-flowing soul out there with the Baylor Bears, which I don't know, man. Like, if anything, if you watch DJ Lagway play the last couple of years, I'd want him restrained a little bit because, he did throw a lot of interceptions. He did have a lot of turnover-worthy plays.
He needed a gap year, I think. I think he needed one of them Dante Moore, Dylan Raiola seasons.
Yeah, saying that with an Oregon helmet behind you is classic.
I'm just saying, bro.
It's the only place that does that, by the way. It's the only place that's like, hey, come sit for a year. Everywhere else, it's like, we'll play our way out of problems normally. But it's worked for them. I don't know if it's going to work for them this time around. Let's sidetrack this conversation right quick. Are you a believer in the Dylan Raiola stock? Let me get you on record right now. You think it's going to be bang up job next year? You think it's automatically his, or what? Because last time I saw him talk, he's still talking about Nebraska in a form and a fashion that you probably shouldn't if you're a professional quarterback.
How honest do you want me to be, Brooks?
I always want your unafraid truth,
okay.
Mr. Unafraid Show.
Okay. And mind you, I've said this before. All right. I've known this kid since he was younger because him and my son were both in the class of 2024. I do not say anything that I would not say to his father, who we played in the NFL at the same time, and that I would not say to him. I want to clarify this. I believed, and mind you, I said that Dylan Raiola is not the guaranteed starter for next year at Oregon. His job right now is to come in and make Dan Lanning and the rest of the staff believe, like Dante Moore did, that there's no reason to go out and get a transfer portal quarterback. Okay. In the spring, he did not do that. He did not. Like that's just the God's honest truth. In fall camp, they said he's been significantly better. Better does not mean up to the standard. So, my answer to you, Brooks, is I don't know. I'm nervous because he's been a statue. He doesn't throw the deep ball well. He throws short and intermediate passes very well. Deep balls, like the ball starts wobbling, it's inaccurate. He doesn't like throwing it. It's not. And you are the film guy, so you've broken him down. I didn't watch if you've broken him down. Is that where you stand on him too as the film guy?
Yeah, it's so weird. Like most young quarterbacks, they have a problem like taking gas off of it. Like everybody's an overthrower. He's the complete opposite. When I watch him, I'm like, dude, why don't you throw the ball?
Yeah.
Why don't you rip the football? Like everything is a lollipop. Everything is a touch ball. And I'm like, dude, we're throwing a comeback. I kind of need you to stand on 10 right now and rip the laces off of it.
Yes.
That would be my biggest criticism. Watch him at Nebraska. There was a lot of like, you are a statuesque quarterback. You're a traditional pro style non-athlete at the position.
And
Like
I don't
you're
like that.
big, you're strong, like you can do those things, but like when things go wrong, you can't make them right. So everything around you kind of needs to be good. And things around him, apart from the traditional running game last year, were not good the last 2 years in Nebraska. So that would be his skill set didn't match what they had around him. I feel this way about Jared Curtis at Vandy. He's a lot better of an athlete. He can move a little bit, but like that's a pro style quarterback. And pro style quarterbacks need weapons. They need protection. They need good conceptual play calling. Like I didn't feel like he had any of that at Nebraska. So he's going to get that at Oregon, I would imagine. They're not going to have him running around like he had to do in Nebraska. But I don't know. When I watch him, I'm like, dude, will you throw the ball? Like, I know you can. I know you're one of these elite arm talents, but like, it almost got Quinn Ewers-y to me, where like every time I watch Quinn, I'm like, dude, are you going to throw the ball today, or are you just going to lollipop everything? And that to me is a little bit, and ironically enough, they share the same quarterback coach, so maybe it's a them thing.
And that's where, Brooks, to answer your question, candidly, no, I'm not a believer. However, I as a person who has that logo behind their helmet and wants them to be good, I do hope it works out. I like the kid too. I like him. So I hope it works out. And then there's Achilles Smith Jr., but behind him too, who I like as well. But they both got to meet the standard. Because I will tell you this, and I've told my own kids this because I have 2 quarterback sons, Brooke. As I said, and they both love Oregon. They would love to play at Oregon. And I'm like, if you put that helmet on, I promise you, you better be, because if not, I don't want you playing there. I will be upset with my own kid. I would rather you go somewhere else. I can't have you stinking up in that logo. So, and I'm dead serious, Brooks. I'm sorry.
All right, this is why you and I, like, we started, we're like, this is gonna be quick. It's never quick. And rightfully so. We like talking to each other way too much. Dave Aranda, hot seat. Don't love that we bet on DJ Lagway. It's got to be do or die for Shane Beamer at South Carolina.
Yes.
Like it has to be.
What does that look like though? What does it is it 8 wins?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah. It's an 8-win. Like it has to be an 8-win season. And look, if you look at the schedule, it's got 6 losses written all over it.
Yeah.
6 losses written all over that thing. So I think that would be the one coach in the conference where I look at him and I'm like, that might get hairy. They'll never fire Steve Sarkisian even after an 8-4 season, even though, like, if you go 8-4 this year, buddy, like what are you going to do next year? Or do I have to buy you a whole nother set of Dallas Cowboys?
Are you sure that Texas fans, if he misses the college football playoff this season and they're 8-4, because I got them missing the college football playoff. I think that Ohio State is going to go down there and win. And then kind of the wheels are going to come off a little bit, not like James Franklin last year at Penn State, but it's going to be bad. Because what more can you give him? And that's where I think the Texas boosters may be like, listen, we like the guy, but what more can we do?
Yeah, I mean, as long as they keep Brandon Harris, the GM, and as long as they keep the booster base riled up, the next guy's going to have just as talented of a roster, and they'll be preseason top 5. So, I don't know. Look, I think Steve's a good offensive coordinator. I think he's a good head football coach. But if he does not win this year, why? If it's not injuries, what is it, man? Like, what? It's got to be you. I don't know. It's like Oregon and Texas to me are so far and ahead of everybody else from a on paper roster standpoint. And if they don't win, what is it, man? It's not players. It's not players. It's coaching. Like, go turn that Texas tape on from last year and tell me if they're coached well. The answer will be no. For me, it would be a resounding no, especially up front on the offensive line. Yeah. It's so not okay what Arch Manning was having to deal with last year. So much so that we got people like you saying Nico and Arch are the same player, and Nico might be better.
I think that Nico's going to have a better season this year. I do.
Go ahead, step back into that one, George. Go ahead. Go ahead, bite that one again. Go pull that tail right quick. Okay. See if they come around for you again.
You know what's happening in the comments right now.
Oh, I already know. I already know. Ooh, buddy, I got that
Listen.
sent to me all the time. I was like, this your boy? This your guy? I'm like, yeah, I love George. I don't love that take. I love George.
So let me explain what the entire premise of the take is that the national media narrative is so down on Nico, and I think that that's completely unfair. When you look at
that's true. That's true, but likability is a skill.
Yeah.
Likability is a skill.
But when we look at arm talent, both of their arm talent is off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
They're both very athletic. I think that competent coaching, and I know that that's going to sound bad because Deshaun Foster is one of my friends, but it wasn't up to the level that it needed to be. Okay. And that when you combine last season, he got hurt, like the drama, first time offensive coordinator that came over from Indiana. It didn't work out. Then you get Neuheisel, who actually did a pretty good job, but it's his first time. Coaching gets fired. Like, there's turmoil everywhere. The roster ain't great. It was a disastrous set of circumstances. If you put Arch in that, if you flip them circumstances, they kind of probably get the same results. So I'm not saying that like, I'm not talking about NFL project, like in terms of which one of these dudes is going to go have the best NFL career. But I'm talking about from now to when the NFL draft happens. I do believe that we're going to start having conversations because of what Chesney is going to be able to do and because of what Arch has. So Arch's numbers may be better because of what he has around him. But I do believe that we're going to look at Nico's season and be like, yo, he killed it, especially when you consider taking everything in totality. And we're going to start having those conversations around the NFL draft. Like, yo, like who does need to be the number 2 pick? Because I do think that one belongs to Dante Moore.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. I'll give it to you.
See, it's not unreasonable. It's just hard for people to hear.
I do think Dante, and this is a me thing, and I'm sure this will get back to people inside Oregon's building, so this will be awesome to hear from. I do think he gets a little, I can get away with this, so I'm going to do it, and it creates bad habits and it creates problems. Other than that, like, he is exceptional. I don't think there was a college football player last year that had more NFL throws on their tape than Dante's. So I get it. I get why people are like, that's the number 1 pick, and everybody else is fighting for second. Especially because Trinidad Chambliss is 5'11". So I totally get that.
Okay, so let's go to the rest of the coaches. So you gave us the SEC coaches. So we had Shane Beamer, and we had depending on how it goes, Sark could be in a weird
separate
spot.
Category. Steve Sarkisian over here. Separate
Okay.
category. Shane's got to win 8 games or he's out. All right, next.
In the Big Ten, I'm looking. I can find two that even possibly could be fired. That is over at Wisconsin, our man there, Fickell. And then you got Lane. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Over at USC. Lincoln? Riley. Yes.
Yeah.
If they don't make the college football playoff, it's going to be a problem. Unless they beat either Oregon, Indiana, or Ohio State. That's the only way that they can go 9-3 and he survives, I think.
But
because if they get their teeth kicked in by Oregon and then Ohio State, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, my take on that this year is that they'll lose all 3 of those games, find a way to lose a 4th, go into their last game of the year against UCLA, and Bob Chesney beats them for a 5th.
Oh, they're underestimating that.
Talk about chaos. Give me that.
This is what I said. This is a very real possibility because they're going to start 3-0.
Very real. Very real possibility.
They're going to start 3-0. Then I think they got to go to Rutgers. So they're going to be 4-0, feeling good. Oregon comes to town, okay? And then, you know who comes the next week, I think it is? I think it's Washington the week after. And Washington, I've been telling everybody this, Brooks. I'm going to tell you, Washington is not to be played with. Jed Fish figures things out. This team is better. They're probably going to get a commitment soon from the number one player in the 2028 class. So this is going to go like Washington is going to be an issue.
Jaden Wade's flipping from Georgia to Washington?
No, see, there you go. See what you did there. I'm wrong for that. I'm wrong for that. You're right.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yes, I'm wrong for that. You are right. And if you know, you know. But then they got to go to Penn State. Yeah, and Lincoln Riley's teams have played awful on the road. And in front of 111,000 people with newbie wide receivers, newbies. Tanook Hines and a 20-year-old who was starting at Santa Margarita last year are going to be your starting wide receivers. And then the Bowman kid. And they're like, oh my God, he's so ready. Listen here. I don't care who you are. There is no tight end coming out of high school, even if you're a holdback like he was, that you are ready for the rigors of blocking a 7 technique in college. Do you know what is going to happen, Brooks, if they try to line him up in front of and try to get Mateo Uiagalelei moved?
Yeah, I do. I will say this though, like Mark is a holdback, but he also reclassed. So
forward. So now he's in his right class.
He's right where he's supposed to be. He is a 18-year-old freshman in college. He's not a 17-year-old freshman in college like old Booby Feaster. So we're the proper age, even though it's such a weird thing that guys are doing nowadays where we hold you back in 8th grade, but we're trying to rush to the money. So we're going to skip the senior year. It's like, what was the point? But anyways, I do think that kid is legit.
I do too.
But you're right. I mean, it's if they're gonna try to make him he's not gonna be an inline blocker though, right, George? Like even 3 years from now, I hope they're not inline blocking that kid. I hope they're Brock Bowers.
But you have to a little bit, little bit,
a little bit, yeah.
Yes.
So we'll
because if the only time he comes in the game is on pass plays, then that hurts your offense because now that's the biggest tail on the field.
I do think it is a do or die season for Lincoln for a lot of reasons. Most importantly, the way he was talking this offseason. I wanted to pull my hair out, and I love my hair. I wanted to pull my hair out when he said, well, you know, it was real bad when we got here. It took us 5 years to pry the window open. And I'm like, buddy, you're at USC. Also, by the way, 2 things. 1, Indiana exists. Curt Cignetti kind of did it in 2. The other thing, you're the same guy that said this will be the mecca of college football within 2 years when you took the job. When you left Oklahoma to go to USC, people will say it's because you were dodging the SEC. I think you did that because you thought USC was that much of a better job and that much easier to win there. And your opening press conference, you, Lincoln Riley, said that would be the mecca of college football within 2 years. Here we are 5 years later, and it's like, woe is me. It took me half a decade to get this place into a position where I feel like I can win. How dare you? How dare you?
Because, Brooks, you don't understand Lincoln Riley math, okay? Because if you listen to all the people surrounding USC and their message board, this is really year 2. Because it's the Chad Bowden getting there is like BC and AD. That's the way they're looking at it. That this is really year 2 of things. Because the first 3, they tried something, but he had to get everything in place, get everybody on board and everything. And then Chad Bowden came, and now this is really year 2, Brooks. The way you can understand how the West Coast USC math is working.
Hey, well, they got an AI offensive coordinator now, so maybe he'll find the answers.
In the Big 12, I got to agree with you with Dave Aranda at Baylor. I think what's the name at Cincinnati is in trouble.
Satterfield.
Yes, Satterfield. That could get weird. I think Deion at Colorado, they're under massive pressure because he generated so much money and it came with attention. But how much attention did we give Colorado last year?
0.
How much attention are they getting this year outside of when pictures surface of their wide receivers and running backs?
All I can think about, and yeah, you're under pressure. All I can think about is Stephen A. Smith having a segment in his first year at Colorado asking if Deion Sanders was a better football coach than Nick Saban. That happened. It happened. It happened on ESPN First Take. It happened. That's all I can remember. And I don't think I've given them much thought since then. So, and every time the internet cracks on their strength and conditioning staff, that's about it. But no, and just like his unwillingness to recruit in high school and the reasons why. He's like, well, if I recruit one kid, everybody else in the state's mad because Deion didn't come to their house. Sir, it's not how it works. You should be recruiting at all times.
Saban was on the road. Kirby was on the road. Dabo gets on the road. Lanning's on the road.
Yeah, they all do the job. They all do the job. He doesn't. So we'll see.
I think that. Okay. I think that's pretty much it for the Big 12 on coaches that could be in trouble. But then in the ACC, I think that you have obviously the biggest one is down there in Tallahassee. Like there is, Norvell is on an ejecto seat at this point. Like it is
ejecto seato, cuz.
It could go off at any point in time. I think that you could have over there with Bill O'Brien at Boston College. If they don't do anything, if they don't show improvement, you could have an issue at Syracuse if they're not better.
Oh, don't do that to Fran.
I love Fran. Listen, I love Fran. I just know, and if we're being honest, Brooks, like as much as we want Fran to succeed, if the bottom falls out like last year, he could be in trouble. They don't need to win 8 games, 9 games. They just need to be significantly improved.
I kind of chopped the last one up to Steve Angeli's Achilles blowing out.
Correct.
Have you seen this Boston College schedule?
I'll pull it up right now.
At Cincinnati, Rutgers. Let's give you a win versus Maine. Virginia Tech, at SMU, Pittsburgh, at Georgia Tech, at Duke, Florida State, at Notre Dame, Syracuse, at Miami. Buddy, he gone. He is fired. So that stinks. But somebody's going to get a really good offensive coordinator at some point because he'll be right back in the fold.
Yep. So you got Florida State, you got Boston College, you got North Carolina, and I think that Narduzzi at Pitt could be an issue too.
The thing about that is interesting about Florida State is it seems to me like they're walking that guy out there because they refuse to buy him out, and they're gonna just wait it out. And if he gets to 7 wins again this year, or if he finds a way to 7 wins this year, they'll keep him on, is what I'm told. But they gave him nothing.
No,
they gave him no money to go compete.
Go get it with your muscle.
Yeah, it's like, hey, buddy, go out and fight a war. Can I have some ammunition? Nah. Here's a couple rocks, though. Good luck. And if you die, you die. And we're going to find somebody else. But if you make it back to base camp, we might give you some ammunition next year. What? It's incredible to me. It's like we live in a day and age where you kind of have to buy talent.
Yep.
And they ain't giving him no money.
Dude,
so I feel bad. I honestly feel bad for the guy, George, because some of these coaches that stink, we know they stink, and they've stunk the entire time. This guy won 18 games in a row. Yeah. He won 18 college football games in a row. And everybody, and now it's like a laughing stock at how bad they think Mike Norvell is as a football coach. And his entire confidence is zapped from him.
He gets some shots early. If he starts out 2-1, he is in a good. That means that he's going to start 3-1. They start with New Mexico State. They cannot lose. They better not lose that football game. And
38.5-point favorites.
Yes, you can actually watch that game on CW, where I'll be doing the preview show. Side note. And then they go shameless plug.
I don't know if it was shameless, but go ahead.
And then they got SMU. And then they're at Bama. They beat Bama last year, so let's not act like that's out of the equation. So if they start 2-1, or under a miracle set of circumstances, 3-0, and then they got Central Arkansas next. So if they start 3-0 or 4-0, Brooks, do they start giving him recruiting money, or do they wait until they play some ACC games?
Dude, I honestly, it looks to me like they're just hoping it bottoms out. So I don't even know if they want to give him more. It's one of the, to me, it's sad. It's because I'm not one of these guys where it's college football's better if so-and-so's good. But Florida State should not care about football, And I'm at the point now where I don't think they care about football, and that sucks.
This is the opposite situation for me, Brooks, of North Carolina, where we're kind of interested in seeing what happens. I'm interested here to see what happens if he starts out 3-1, and then ends up 8-4ish. I want to see what happens then. Or even 7-5. I want to see, because he's set
the problem with that, George, is that the 2027 class is spoken for nowadays. It's August. It's done. It's wrapped up. These aren't flippable football players anymore unless you pay them 2x. That's not what we have anymore. I would imagine, since I would say the 2023 and 2024 classes, a number of flips has decreased 100-fold, because you're having to bypass contracts now. These NIL deals are spoken for. Now, when you commit, you're basically committing to your contract. You're not committing to a logo anymore.
And you start getting checks. And
flipping football players is way harder.
And don't nobody want to pay that money back.
No.
All right, so we will finish on this, Brooks. What are you most looking forward to between week 0 and week 1 of this season?
I want to see a couple things. I know Alabama plays ECU week 1, but I'm going to be studying that tape harder than a lot of tapes going into that, because they have so many questions up front. Did they actually address the right problems? They get the right body types in there to run the offense that I think they want to run. But off the top of my head, that would be, to me, the most inquisitive thing I have, on top of the fact that Keelan Russell is going to be good.
Okay. So
I want to see.
I got a question about him real quick.
Yeah.
So obviously the talent is there. There's no question. Everything you see, he's electric at times, blah, blah, blah. If Kalen DeBoer can't figure out how to run the football, even though him being part of the run game should help them dramatically run the football better. It should. But if they can't figure out how to run the football without him being part of the run game and putting him in danger, because it's not like he's he's not built like Austin Mack. So now you're putting him in danger the more times that you run him. So I believe that if Kalen DeBoer can't figure out how to not be the 22nd worst rushing offense in the country, and can't be at least in the 30s, it's gonna make life significantly harder for a very talented kid, which now puts you into bad habit territory and development being slowed.
And look, I'm a big, you talked about Luke Fickell being on a hot seat. Luke Fickell is the opposite of what I'm about to say. Luke Fickell was a 3-3-5 defense played a lot of cover 3. And on the offensive side of the football, they were very pro-style at Cincinnati. And then he goes to Wisconsin, and he's like, you know what? Ding! Brilliant idea. I'm going to be an air raid guy. Sir, what? You're going to do what? And then, like, spends 2 years sucking, and now he's like, hey, we're Wisconsin. We should run the ball. And now he's like 2 years behind. So that is the opposite of what I'm talking about. You don't need to be doing that. Your identity needs to match your talent pool, right? Like what you're doing needs to match what you have. Brilliant, right? Okay. Yeah. Alabama's been like pigeonholed into having an offensive line that was very Nick Saban based, right? Caden Proctor, 6'6", 385 pounds, 405, depending on what day he left a Dunkin' Donuts. Like all these guys were big, heavy offensive linemen. Cam Dewberry, big physical, the Formsby kid, big physical football players. That's not what Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb are based in. And you know this, being a West Coast guy. At Washington, who was their left tackle? It was Troy Fontenot. It was a 6'4", 305-pounder that ran 4.8 at the NFL Combine and was labeled undersized. Yeah. Well, he was over athletic is what he was. And they were able to run the football because they were a wide zone football team that did a lot of counter misdirection stuff. And Dylan Johnson ran all over the Pac-12. This is a newfound issue at Alabama because I don't think their offensive line actually matched what they were trying to do, right? From a skill set standpoint. Well, they've revamped that entire room, right? They took Michael Carroll at right tackle and kicked him inside to guard, put a little bit of weight on him, but he's a tackle body playing guard because they're about to be athletic, right? The new left tackle was in Bruce Feldman's freak list for all the right reasons, not because he's 380 pounds and he could jump. He was on the freaks list because he can move, all right? So, and they brought over a center from Cal Poly that is 6'3", 300 pounds and can go. So I think they're going to address these issues at a much higher rate. I highly doubt they will finish 122nd in the rushing department again this year. And they fired their offensive line coach. They hired a brand new guy that's got an NFL background. And when I say NFL background nowadays, that basically means he's well-versed in wide zone. Like if you don't watch NFL football, that's what they do. They move. Yes. They don't try to move you. They move themselves, and they find holes in that stuff.
Yes, it like in the NFL, they mix in, you know, the occasional wham and all of the stuff to mix up from the zone.
Yes,
but yeah, for me, Brooks, I'm looking at there are like I am going to be looking at games like that for teams like Alabama, teams like, you know, USC versus San Jose State in week 0 because San Jose State can pitch it around. They're not going to beat USC, but they're 39-point favorites, 38.5-point favorites, and they can pitch it. But San Jose State has had the leading receiver in the country the last 2 years. So I want to see the pass rush and all that. But there are 4 games that I'm really paying attention to. And the number one game to me, Brooks, is numero uno on this list. LSU Clemson. I need to see this football game. I need to see what Lane Kiffin is talking about. I need to see what Dabo and Clemson are talking about this year because I believe the loser of that game, even though on paper it should be Clemson as the loser of that game is going to have a lot of press conferences this year. It's going to be a lot of meetings, a lot of, are we sure about, it's going to get real noisy after week 1 in that game. Real noisy.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm in attendance for that football game. We'll see.
And then the other game is the Wisconsin-Notre Dame game because Colton Joseph is over at Wisconsin. Luke Fickell's quarterback has gotten hurt the last 2 years. He hasn't had a quarterback at all, which I think has been their detriment. Notre Dame is breaking in new running backs, and Wisconsin's defense has generally been good, and Notre Dame has kind of struggled in the beginning of seasons. And so I'm interested in that game because that could be an upset.
I think you're going to be sadly disappointed in Colton Joseph. I just got done watching that tape.
He's a runner.
Yeah, he is. And that stat line at Old Dominion was so schematical based. They're a wide choice offense. He was a scheme merchant. That's my opinion. I think he's a very limited thrower. you mentioned he's a runner. He struggled to run away from Sun Belt Conference defensive ends.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
He was the only quarterback that had some success running against Indiana last year.
And again, I think a lot of that is scheme based. And I know I'm known as the film guy, and I know you know ball. Watch what ODU does with their quarterbacks, and watch how many teams steal that. Like the blind backside read option.
Yes,
like everybody's put that in. That is those guys at ODU. That is that coaching
staff. They were recruiting my son, so I spent a lot of time watching them, and I liked that offense. I did.
They're brilliant out there. I told them that this offseason. I was like, every school steals from you. I hope you know that. And they're not just stealing your players, they're stealing your concepts. They're stealing concepts from that place.
Yep.
So I'm very cautious about the Colton Joseph stuff. Very cautious.
Oh, with a reason, and then the SMU Florida State game, but then the one I'm really eyeballing with is Louisville Ole Miss.
Yeah.
That, because I have reservations about Ole Miss only because I've seen what happens sometimes when there's coaching change, and Pete Golding has to own this as his football team. It's not that I don't think Kewan Lacey's good or Trinidad Chambliss, any of that. I believe in them. It's just, will things stay the way that they were or get better with your new head coach?
Yeah, I think it's more of 5 of the top 6 receivers gone from a year ago, and they replaced them with Jonte Cooks and another wide receiver from Syracuse. I'm not jumping on that bandwagon.
And Jeff Brom ain't playing around.
No.
Over there at Louisville. So you can play around with him if you want to. You see what he did to Miami last year. He is a ball coach, and he does well with quarterbacks too. Like there's a reason why each of his transfer quarterbacks have had success, and they've had a chance to play in the NFL.
Some people call him the quarterback whisperer. Not me, but some people do.
Yes. Yep. So, but you guys, he's Brooks Austin. We kept it short today for you guys. We kept it short today for you guys as a treat. So appreciate you guys coming. Brooks, congratulations on the success, man. I love you. Like, I could not be any more happy for you. And yes, man. And you are, as I told my wife, Brooks is cookout approved.
Dab game strong.